Hey everyone, my name is Jocelyn. I go by she, her pronouns, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to go over the gender tag questions, and for those of you who are not familiar with the gender tag, it was a project spearheaded by A. Wild, and the purpose of this project was to invite several YouTubers to chat about their gender identity and gender expression. I made this video in June of 2020, however, I think it's important that I update that video because my answers to these questions now are not the same as my answers to those questions 1 year ago. So with that said, let's get started with the first question, which asks, how do you self-identify your gender and what does that definition mean to you? So I identify as a woman, a cisgendered woman, which means that I identify with the gender that I was assigned at birth. And it's important to note that when you are born, the doctor or your parents or somebody assigns you a gender based on your genitals. And it's really important to understand that as people grow, they don't necessarily identify with that gender that they were assigned at birth. You know, there's non-binary people, there's transgender people, there's a whole broad spectrum of genders, and I really want my viewers to understand that there are a lot of different genders that you could identify with, and those genders might not necessarily be the same gender that you were assigned at birth. I just so happen to identify as a cisgendered woman. However, there are so many aspects of my personality and so many aspects of my character that are gender non-conforming. So I typically wear clothes that were made for men and I get them tailored to fit my body. And in terms of my interests, I'm an engineering student, I like to skateboard, I like to film videos, I like a lot of things that were typically marketed for guys. But since I'm part of the Anti-Gender Norms Club, I don't really care. I just like to do whatever I like to do, and I don't like to assign gender to what I'm doing. The second question asks about pronouns and which pronouns honor me, so I go by she, her pronouns, and I think I might experiment with they, them pronouns. I think it might be worth a try. And something that I wanted to bring up in this video is that I really admire the Filipino language, Tagalog, because there are no gender pronouns in that language. So everyone is addressed by siya or sila, which means they, them. So everyone, regardless of who you are, if you are speaking Tagalog, you address them by they, them. And I think that's awesome. The third question asks about clothing and to describe the type of clothing that I typically wear. So I like to call my wardrobe the minimalist yet hella gay wardrobe, and I actually made a whole video going over every single item in my wardrobe and talking about how I don't really understand why people like to label clothes with masculine and feminine labels. So if you want to see that video, I'll link it up in the cards. And yeah, basically I like to wear simple clothes, no logos, and I typically buy stuff in the men's section. The next question asks about hair. So talk about your choices with hair. How do you style your hair? Do you have facial hair? What do you choose to shave and not to shave? As you can see, I typically style my hair like this. I actually go to an incredible barbershop called Barber Ha in Edmonton, and they are really welcoming for people of the LGBTQ+ community. And yeah, I've had my hair short pretty much since I came out, and I think it suits me. I think I look really good with this haircut. When it comes to body hair, I actually don't have a lot because of my genetics, and because of that, I have no need to shave. Question number 5 asks about cosmetics. Do you choose to wear makeup? Do you paint your nails? What types of soaps and perfumes do you use, if any? So I don't typically wear makeup, but I did wear makeup in high school because I was part of the drama department. And in the drama department, I would wear makeup based on the character that I was trying to portray. But when it comes to day-to-day life, I don't actually wear makeup. I don't enjoy putting makeup on. I'm not good at putting makeup on. It's just not something that I really vibe with. And I don't paint my nails either. When it comes to perfumes and soaps, I have to be very careful because I have eczema, and I have to choose products that do not irritate my skin. Number 6, have you experienced being misgendered? If so, how often? The answer is yes, and it's very, very, very often. Because of my hairstyle and the style of clothing that I like to wear, people often misgender me as a guy, and they often misgender me in public washrooms, so much so that it pretty much happens every time I walk into a public washroom. So if I have the opportunity to use an all-gender washroom, I will. Being misgendered sucks. I hate how people think it's their business when I'm in the washroom. Like, honestly, it's a toilet. I just need to pee. You need to pee. Just let me pee in peace. It's so annoying. And honestly, my gender doesn't really affect anyone else. It only affects me. So I don't understand why people feel the need to label my gender or to tell me that I'm in the wrong washroom, because it's really none of their business. Question 7 asks about gender dysphoria and if I experience that. And the answer is no. I'm pretty happy with my gender and my gender expression, and I'm just grateful that I grew up in a place where I was able to experiment with my gender identity and expression. Question 8 asks about children. Are you interested in having children? Would you want to carry a child if that were an option for you? And do you want to be the primary caretaker for any children you may have? This question is really hard to answer because it depends on my future partner and if my partner would also want children. I used to teach summer camps at a science center here in Edmonton, and I absolutely loved that job. I had that job for 3 consecutive summers, and I just love kids. They're so fun, they're so curious, they love to experiment, they're not afraid of asking questions and making mistakes, and I just think they're so cool. So if I were to raise a child, I think if I had that opportunity, I think that would be cool. If it doesn't pop up, that's also cool. But honestly, that question is still up in the air. I'm 22, I still have tons of time. And yeah, it just depends on what's gonna happen in the future. Question number 9 asks about money. So, is it important to you to provide for a family financially if you choose to have one? Is it important to you that you earn more than any partner you may have? Do you prefer to pay for things like dates? Are you comfortable when others pay for you and offer to pay for you? Money is something that I am continually learning about because I know that if I'm very smart about my money now at the age of 22, then my future self is well taken care of. I grew up to be really good at saving. I don't spend my money on a lot of things, and when I do, I spend it on things like food, trips, and like hobbies that I absolutely love. Do I want to provide for a family? You know, that question is kind of similar to the previous question. If I do end up having a family, obviously I want to be able to provide for them. But if I don't have a family, that's okay too. Is it important for me to earn more than any partner that I might have? The answer is no. I don't really care about the amount of income of the person that I will fall in love with. I just want to make sure that we're financially independent, which is a whole other video on its own. I'm learning about how to take care of my money and to make sure that my future self is taken care of. When it comes to dates, I would typically split the bill, but on a special occasion, I would offer to pay. And no, I'm not uncomfortable if someone chooses to pay for me. I would say thank you, and I would just get the next date. Question 10 asks, is there anything else you want to share about your experience with gender? And in this last year, I've become really good friends with a non-binary individual. And for those of you who don't know, non-binary means that you do not follow the binary gender spectrum, meaning that you do not identify with being a woman and you don't identify with being a man. So you're just kind of like your own thing, non-binary, it's its own gender. And since meeting that person, I have been trying my best to be very mindful about introducing myself with my pronouns all the time, and not labeling someone with pronouns based on how they look. Because you never know. The easiest thing to do is to just be like, hey, I'm Jocelyn, I use she, her pronouns. What's your name? What pronouns do you use? It's so easy. I would really hope that as we reopen, like post-COVID, that people will continually ask for pronouns and not just assume anything. So yeah, that is pretty much all that I wanted to share in this video. I will probably update this video on a somewhat regular basis because I am continually learning more and more about gender identity and gender expression. So with that said, thank you so much for watching. Take care, stay safe, stay healthy, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.